So we're going to watch some Salamander Space Marines right now stomp some Deimos, which is going to be funny. No, it might not be a Deimos stomp, I don't know actually. I just know Deimos really doesn't like the Imperial Guard. Deimos was originally a Space Marine main. Found a lot of success. So he wanted to branch out to some other races, and then he realised, oh my god, Space Marines are OP. This game is so much easier as Space Marines. But even that withstanding, I believe that he thinks the Imperial Guard are one of the weaker factions in the game, along with Automeles. Correct me if I'm wrong, Deimos, in the comments down below. So we'll see how he fares. Straight away right now, I feel like he could have been using that Refractor Shield a little bit earlier. Not a big deal though, he activated it before he got knocked over, so it's not too bad. The thing you got to remember is, like right now you should be turning off the Refractor Shield because nothing's attacking the Commissar, so you're just wasting energy train. I mean, it's just, you know, it's minor optimality. So you've got to remember the energy shield regens at 2.5 HP per second effectively. 1 energy equals 2.5 HP, whereas your actual health only goes up 1 HP per second at level 1, so you want to take damage as much as possible on the shield, simply because that will regenerate faster than taking the damage on your health. As you can see now, his health is going to take a while to recharge, but the effective same amount of energy will fill up a lot quicker. So a nice little bit of stalling here from C. I believe this is Sardok. I don't actually know if it is Sardok. I think it's Sardok. I'm going to call him C. And we'll see how C does.
The enemy is claiming a victory point.
So classic dual tax. A little bit of an awkward map. Commissar could do quite well against the dual tax here. You know, you got line of sight blockers here, line of sight blockers here. You've got a few line of sight blockers, not loads to be fair. It's kind of open around these areas. Probably want to avoid this side because of the garrisons. So Commissar should probably stick around here and here, but we'll see. A little bit outnumbered now though. Running in from out of cover against double tax and scouts. Good layering there by Sardok. Keeping the scouts behind so they can help focus fire any assault from the Commissar, but not so that they're too far forward and vulnerable to being bled by the Sentinel. And Guardsmen here are going to be pretty isolated, no Sergeant on them yet. You do want to delay your Sergeant as long as possible, because it gives you way more upkeep. And let's face it, as you can see right here, Guardsmen not very good against Tactical Space Marines. So, you know, what's an extra 2 Guardsmen going to do there? Fuck all. You still get forced off. So it's just waste of wreck. But then when you start losing models, that changes, because all of a sudden now he's going to pay 18 per model. Whereas it'd be 9 if you lost 2 models with a Sarge. But you see, because Deimos only went for 1 power gen, and he went for double Guardsman, yeah, and he didn't get any Sarge, it means that he has an excess of requisition compared to what other players would have, and thus he can get heavy weapons team into Kadashans out super fast. Now this gives him a lot of map control. So he takes the fights with the hero, which should likely get the power sword and carapace armor soon to become as tanky as possible and as threatening to the tax as possible. He uses the Sentinel, which doesn't bleed, and uses Kadashans, which have nice utility abilities, can beat up tax in melee, and of course he's got the heavy weapons team. And then the Guardsmen just run around capping, basically. Stormshield's going to be pretty nice here though. Definitely a big counter to the heavy weapons team. The FC is out of energy right now though, so there's going to be no more of those Stormshield shenanigans. Really should be getting... yeah, should be moving this heavy weapons team up a bit further. Very defensive use of it here. Guardsmen want to get in some cover. Yeah, nice arc of fire. Should be able to force off the force commander here. You'll notice that when he has the energy shield, he passively takes 20% less damage from ranged. So it makes it a very good tool against IG, to say the least. Very good tool. I mean, it's giving him more HP, 20% less damage taken from ranged, and then when he activates that ability, they take half damage from ranged. It's pretty nuts. And by they, I mean the Force Commander and any nearby troops. Talk about a hard IG counter, right? But that's why you go for the Carapace Armor and Power Sword and the Commissar. And I know the stats sound crazy on this thing, and new players always think this war gear is absolutely insane, but it's funny because in high level tournament play you barely ever see it, and the simple reason is when you have the defend ability activated, you can see it reduces speed by 35% whilst also draining your energy. So what you do is you just back away, you let them waste their energy, and then you come back when he's got no energy and it's kind of wasted. You obviously don't just stand and trade against him when he's taking half the range damage that he normally would. That would be pretty stupid.
The enemy is claiming a victory point.
But obviously lower level players don't have that sort of macro unit positioning thing understood, so they just stand and trade and get wrecked.
Fight on and drive the enemy back.
So it's going to be Devastators for C. C, Psy, could be any of them. I might just switch throughout the cast. I like Psy. Kind of messed up with the devs there, just let the Lord Commissar running in tie them up. Oh, Heavy Weapons team's got a really dodgy arc here as well. Miss Micro on the FC should be definitely tying up the Heavy Weapons team. Where's he going? I'm really shocked that Deimos has not got any upgrades here on his Commissar. Can you imagine if he had Carapace Armor and Power Sword right now? Power Sword alone would have meant this dev's already dead. Carapace Armor would have meant that he's lost barely any HP because of the constant 2.5 HP regen whilst in combat. Guardsmen here will easily win the melee fight, not because they're great in melee, but what you'll notice is the rear units, like this guy right here, he's still shooting because there's no space to melee the scouts, so he just stands there and shoots. So he gets his full DPS. And that's why Guardsmen often win melee fights, because the rear models will shoot still, especially the case if you've got flamers. This is not a good position for these Guardsmen though. Wait, what? Fast plasma gun? Wow. Talk about hating Sentinels, jeez. But that's obviously why he's gone for it. He wants to kill the Sentinel ASAP, but that is quite some commitment to kill a Sentinel, to spend 35 power on that weapon, which basically does no extra damage against Guardsmen. And that's your first tier 2 purchase. Like, that's kind of crazy, not gonna lie. So he also gets a couple of tax charges. That's less crazy, though it's still a little odd. I guess the only other thing really would be, oh wow, Flat Jacket comes out for the Commissar. Just gonna execute that tax charge. Well, there goes that investment. I like to see that actually, because Carapace Armor is so commonly purchased. It's nice to actually see this for a change. It's definitely a good war gear. Devastators here are in trouble with the Sentinel to support. Can't suppress the Sentinel, I'm afraid. Yeah, this is looking like a good comp for Deimos, not gonna lie.
We shall make it so.
Looking like a good comp for Deimos. Probably want some P-Devs. Does good old Psy. Librarian never hurts. Probably don't want to go for a Librarian though against this Commissar with Flak Jacket. Yeah, P-Dev's going to come out. I mean, it makes sense. They'll be really strong against all these blobby infantry. Obviously, it's a hard counter to a setup team. If they can land a clean hit on Katash and Devils, it'll be pretty brutal against them. Fully upgraded Guardsmen now. Wow. For both Guardsmen. Okay, that's heavy commitment from Deimos. You often don't go for the Commissars for the same reason that you don't go for the Sergeants, more or less. It's a hell of a lot of upkeep. And I mean, that can be fine if your Guardsmen are putting in work. I don't feel like they've been putting in that much work yet, but of course not, because they only had las guns. Now they've got plasma guns, so now they should trade a lot better against these tactical space marines than they were before. We'll see though, we'll see. It's still just flak jacket. Here comes a P-Dev. Where's the P-Dev? There it is. Really far back, needs to be forward a bit. Probably want to get the Sacred Standard on the Force Commander, especially if you're going to be blobbing like this. Where are the scouts? Okay, they're going back out to cap again. P-Dev shot, there you go. My god. Just instantly takes off 2/3 of the HP of that heavy weapons team. Is he going to retreat? He does retreat in time. Okay, that was a nice play. That was a nice play. Ooh. Alright. Okay, kills a dev model. And he dies for it, damn. I was going to say, that was quite a ballsy push. Quite a ballsy push. Wow. Wait, did a P-Dev hit this Guardsman squad cleanly? I didn't even notice. That's actually a huge loss. The Guardsmen don't cost that much to reinforce, but it still was a lot of Guardsmen. But the most important thing is he's lost the Sergeant, which is actually a lot of wreck. Calician's here just chilling. Guess they're waiting for a tactical Space Marine squad to isolate themselves. Maybe they're waiting for like P-Devs or Devs, and then they can get behind it and melee it with a power melee. That's probably what they're trying to do. But you need to... Ooh. We're going to have a grenade. Point blank grenade on the P-Devs. Cadishans open up fire. They retreat in time though. It wasn't a great grenade. Didn't do full damage. Yeah. Felt like a bit of a wasted opportunity there. That's a shame. It was a nice idea. Indeed, we do see the Sacred Standard now coming out on the Force Commander. Okay. Scouts the whole time have been quite free just to cap this side of the map. Gonna see that Scout Sergeant coming in now. Sai a little bit freaked out by the infiltration shenanigans here. Feels like he needs a detector. It's hard though, because obviously the detector is going to be side capping most of the time, not in the main fights. Maybe a little bit of a premature retreat there. Force Commander was quite clearly going to get into melee. I don't think he would have lost his model yet, so then the attacks could have focus fired the Sentinel. I mean, they wouldn't have killed it if Deimos was awake. Could have easily backed it off before it died, but still. $440 VPs for Deimos and 137 for Sai. That's not good. He needs to sort that out big time.
One of our initiates has fallen.
That Lord Commissar pistol putting in some serious work right now. Another model killed by that pistol, this time with his flak jacket execute ability. And a gen taken out by the Sentinel. Ooh, a lot of damage coming in here though. Sacred Standard and Kraken rounds buffing the damage of those attacks up to some scary level. Why did the Sentinel stop moving? Ooh, a big miss micro there from Deimos. Gonna lose it. That plasma gun finally proving its value. Assault Kit Stormtroopers are alright here. They're good at flanking the setup teams, but they don't actually do that much DPS to the attack since they're all piercing damage. P-Dev shot. Oh, beautiful P-Dev shot. Oh my god, look at all the bleed on those guardsmen. Another grenade. What the hell was that? That was dual grenades. Okay, we got the scouts grenading the stormtroopers, the grenades of the stormtroopers landing on the P-Devs, forcing them off, but they still live. How many stormtroopers died? 2. Stormtroopers are really expensive to reinforce. I think they're 40 requisition. So that's like... well, it's like 4.5 Guardsman models with a Sergeant. 7 Guardsman models with a Commissar. Crazy. Crazy expensive.
Equip the initiates with combat shotguns.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this Stormtrooper squad purchase actually, the more I think about it. Looking at Deimos' economy, imagine if he spent the 475 rec, since he also spent an extra amount on the assault kit for these guys. He could have been in tier 3 ages ago, he'd basically be having a tank coming out right now, which then in turn would be great to counter this Dreadnought, which obviously comes out as a melee walker by default. Even if it had its multi-melter, it's not going to kill a Leman Russ. So we'll see. And these Stormtroopers, of course, like I said, they do bleed, so they kind of give a weakness in the, if your opponent can really exploit their bleed, they can end up massively economically ahead. Oh, P-Dev. Good eye from Deimos. Call that just in time. That would have been absolutely brutal. Don't think it would have wiped them, but dude, it'd come close. It probably killed 3 or 4 models then with the Tactical Marine Focus Fire. Flamer of the Dreadnought's a pain in the ass to deal with. But so is the Commissar. Nothing can really handle with him on their own, so he's just been ignored and left to slap on some generators with that sword. Yeah, and here comes the assault cannon. That's scary. I mean, Deimos needs a tank. It's as simple as that. He needs his tank. No line of sight on the Dreadnought, unfortunately, so the last cannon got to get out of there. And you can see, obviously, Deimos is losing all the map right now. Triple cap against him. Not for long. 2 to 0. Yeah, I think the Stormtroopers was the big mistake here. Man, if he had a Leman Russ out a little bit earlier, this game would be really favourable for Deimos. But right now, this presents a opportunity for comeback. You know, there's already a Devastator on the field that could easily get a last cannon. And this Force Commander right now is being an absolute pain. Too tanky. Artificer armor, Chainsword and Storm Shield. Taking forever to get rid of him. A couple of shots there. No, just one shot from the last cannon. Derp. I was going to say a couple of shots there would have been nice. A little bit of time that the scouts have to spend not capping the side of the map like they want to, but instead repairing the Dreadnought. But only one shot, not going to take very long. Where is this tank, man? My god, it's taking so long. Now, Sai really should know that there's a tank coming out. All he's seen in Tier 2, literally, was the Missile Sentinel upgrade. Well, unit upgrades and Stormtroopers, right? Whereas he's got P-Devs. He's got even more unit upgrades, because he's even been replacing these tacks. That's a scary nade. A couple of dead Tactical Space Marines. But hey, he trades it because he loses 3 Stormtroopers, so that's 120 wreck. That's 150 wreck. So a little bit more on the tax, but not that much. Did lose a Guardsman, so that's another, what, 18? 19, oh shit. Yeah, it sucks when you lose one Guardsman model. Ideally, you just wouldn't bother reinforcing that, but to keep turning the auto-reinforce off and on again on IG, which is a somewhat micro-intensive faction, that's a big ask. If you can do that, you're the best IG player in the game, pretty much, because no one else can fucking do that. Let's see what Kadashan's cost as well. Yeah, 35 wreck. I mean, all of this is bleeding Deimos like crazy, which is why he has 200 power right now and no requisition. It's just bleeding too much. So much for IG don't bleed, right? More like Space Marines don't bleed. So let's see. I mean, the Leman Russ is here right now. Now, by default, the Leman Russ is pretty bad. That cannon is really low DPS because it takes forever to come off cooldown. The rate of fire is super, super low. So it's got a little bit of splash, but super low rate of fire. And you can see right now we've got Sacred Standard for the Emperor buffed P-Devs, which are doing crazy amounts of damage, and they're hitting because of the last cannon snare. So that is the Leman Russ having to back off. Kadashans do save the day, disrupting the P-Dev there with the old reliable, which keeps them in the game. Oh my god, the AC Dread Barrage there. Again, more bleed. He needs to get the Vanquisher Cannon ASAP. So the Vanquisher Cannon it gives you, I believe it's plus 10 range. You go to range 55, which is really good. So normal guns are only range 38. I'm talking las guns, bolters, plasma guns. Las cannons are range 65, so you're up there for sure. But the most important thing is you lose the splash, but you actually gain about double fire rate. So your DPS actually goes up loads. So you're slightly worse against like really blobby infantry like heretics or termagants or guardsmen or something, but even against tactical marines, the double fire rate's way stronger than the splash damage. So yeah, against space marines this is a no-brainer if you want to do any sort of AV damage. Obviously the actual DPS on the executioner, the big fast-firing plasma weapon, would be, well, it'd be higher, but the problem is it's not very good against moving targets, and the real problem is it's super short range, so good luck getting the tank into position without getting blasted by these setup teams. But this is a better setup right now. The P-Dev and the las cannon were awkwardly positioned. Got a bit of a flank coming on from the Commissar and the Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers trying to dodge for their life against that AC barrage. They do. Scouts are forced off, but nothing dealt with the las cannon. Oh, and the heavy weapon team's going to fall to tactical space marines in melee. We've got the damage buffs here from the Sacred Standard on the P-Devs and the las cannon. That is very potent. Lehman Russ is feeling it. Lehman Russ trying to focus fire the Dreadnought, but there's just too much support. The priority should have been getting rid of the las cannon, I think, and Deimos kind of failed in that regard. It is still possible for him to win, though. He's got the rocket run, and let's face it, setup teams, very, very easy to wipe with a rocket run. One of the best globals in the game, actually, for wiping setup teams. In fact, honestly, probably is the best global in the game. Well, Orbital Bombardment's actually pretty good against setup teams, too. But yeah, rocket run's probably better. You really can't dodge rocket run if it's placed correctly with setup teams, since it knocks over even on retreat. Like, I don't know what that old reliable was. What was that right there? I don't know what that was. That was never going to achieve anything. The splash damage from old reliable, I'm afraid, is not enough to kill space marines. So it's kind of just like a waste of energy and putting these abilities on cooldown. Those Stormtroopers would have been better off infiltrating and taking this VP. Guardsmen here going to force off the scouts. But for now, it's still a 2-to-1 gap, even if Deimos catches that VP. Kadashans know this, so they're going to be flanking down this side. P-Devs aren't covering it. They should get line of sight, though, because of the VP. So he sees that Kadashans are there. He knows right now he's got to do something. Las Cannon's not set up. So this is a great time for the Lehman Russ to move forward. Lord Commissar, oh, here comes the rocket run. On the P-Devs. Oh, major fuck up of the second run. Well, not major fuck up, but a fuck up. Obviously, like I say, Deimos doesn't play IG very often, so he hasn't got the rocket run down. He's a 1v1 player as well, so pretty rare in 1v1s you get the nukes. Lehman Russ should be activating hold fire right now and finish off that Dreadnought. Don't know why he's showing his ass. So Kadashans did catch this VP. We've got assault terminators coming down. The Dreadnought does fall to the Lehman Russ. This Lehman Russ now needs to start backing off. This is where some missile launchers on the tactical marines might be handy. Obviously the assault terminators do heavy melee damage. They've got 4 the Emperor on them, but they're so slow. The Lehman Russ should not be dying to these guys. It just needs to keep driving. Wow, they're going to aggressively teleport forward. They might get a few more hits in, but yeah, it's not worth it because they can't chase it. And a few more hits isn't going to get the kill. Big overextension here from the assault terminators. You see it quite often. Now they're just conceding a lot of free damage, basically. They're not going to die, but they're getting way weaker than they really ought to have. Oh, here we go. We got the Storm Shield ability on them, actually. That's pretty scary. Commissar's going to be running into melee. He's got his Power Claw now. Commissar's going to die? No, he gets out. He gets out. Okay, Force Commander needs to back off. I mean, this is a stall. It is... yeah, 2-to-1 camp. Nothing's contesting this side of the mid, so... I think Sai's just trying to stall out right now for the VPs, but there's a lot of VPs, man. I don't know about this player. There's a lot of VPs. I think she just played regularly. Grenade. Not thrown yet. He's threatening nade spikes. Gets the nade spike. Stormtroopers maybe want to run to the garrison. Yeah, there's no flamethrower. They could just take the garrison, and they will kill the attacks if they try to just cap this in front of them. Scouts can run over and grenade the Stormtroopers, though. I wonder if Deimos sees this. Probably focused on the center, which is a little bit more important. Oh, what a great PDev shot. Hits the Lehman and kills a bunch of Guardsmen, and now Assault Terminators jumping in the back. That's a dead Lehman to the... wait, what? Did he just... wow, did he somehow dodge the... what has happened? Oh yeah, he conceded anyway. Because he has nothing to send to contest this, and he lost the Lehman, so he can't win the mid. Well, there you go. Nice to see the late game Assault Terminator calling actually putting some work though. Just tanking with them. They got the Storm Shield, so does the FC. Actually really nice to see the Storm Shield be put into use. It is a bit frustrating as someone who used to be an IG main that this war gear even exists. It very much feels like a war gear that exists just to make IG mains cry, because you never get it versus any other faction, but against IG it definitely is useful. Like I say, you do have to be careful how you use it. It's not brain dead, because good players will just disengage against you and you'll run out of energy and you'll feel sad. But yeah, nice showing there. Good game, very even actually. And it turns out Deimos did lose. So there you go. That's Deimos and his IG skills. Perhaps if the rocket run was better and actually wiped the P-devs, then maybe that wouldn't have been the case. Really, the rocket run should have wiped the last cannon and the P-devs. Something to practice, perhaps, versus the AI Deimos. Practice your rocket run, my lad. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for tuning in, folks. That's all for this one. Torpid, signing out.